Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Great Hall here in Old Town Hall, the oldest serving masonry town hall in the country, by the way. I want to acknowledge some of my colleagues who are here this morning. Your City Council at Large, Noel DeBona, Ward 1 Councilor Dan McCarthy, Ward 5 Councilor Dan Minton, all of whom support each and every appropriation we put before them for public safety. With me also today, we have Ed Kelly. He's the General President of the International Association of Firefighters, Boston firefighter, who rose to the ranks, the highest ranking and leader of our international firefighters. Tom Bowes, who's President of Local 792. Rich McKinnon, President of the Professional Firefighters of Massachusetts. I know we have other 792 members here, certainly members of the department here. We have two folks from our legal world I want to mention, our own city solicitor, Jim Timmons, and the Honorable Dan O'Malley, retired justice, both of them working hard on this case, looking at these issues in great depth. So we've long known the risks our firefighters take every day, protecting lives and properties of our citizens. In recent years, thanks to the work of people like Ed Kelly and the IAFF, our state firefighters union and our local union, and I also give a shout out to former Boston Commissioner Joe Finn, we come to know the risk of occupational cancer and other illnesses that are associated for our firefighters when they're in direct contact with all kinds of materials and chemicals in the incidents they respond to. The rates of occupational cancer rates for firefighters are truly stunning. For a number of specific cancers, the risk is double the average person. Cancer is the leading cause by a long shot of line of duty deaths for firefighters. Working together with the men and women of Local 792, Quincy has taken the lead among communities across Massachusetts in reducing cancer risk for our firefighters. Specifically, installing industrial cleaning machines called extractors and new shower rooms in our firehouses to make sure they can immediately clean themselves and their gear following an incident. For many years, they come back to the firehouse and sit in that gear and not realizing the exposure and the damage that the chemicals in that gear could be doing to their person. Even more recently, the union has taken a hard look at the turnout gear. And we know what turnout gear is, but for those that don't, there's a piece of it right here. It's the gear firefighters wear. It's really their first line of protection when they go into a scene. And we've had some new gear that we purchased in recent years. And over the years, it was learned that there were chemicals in that gear known as PFAS, which is known as one of the forever chemicals. And it stays persistent in the environment. Not a good thing. So, you know, when we bought new gear, we looked at these issues. It's truly outrageous to me and deeply troubling that we stand here today to talk about the new gear we bought, sold to us on the premise that had no PFAS in it, PFAS-free. That's how it was advertised. Was recently independently tested and came back highly positive with PFAS components in the gear. Outrageous. Everything we're doing as a community, and I'm sure mayors and chiefs across the state feel the same way. We're trying to do everything we can to mitigate the risks and protect our firefighters. And we know they take great risk. And that gear is that first line of defense. Obviously, apparatus is important and all the other pieces, but the gear is their personal line of defense. So what an outrage and betrayal by this company. 792 took it upon themselves to send a sample of the gear to respected University of Notre Dame Professor Graham Peasley. It was Professor Peasley that found that the materials tested positive with high levels of PFAS in the outer liner of the turnout gear. And once again, we recently bought a number of these gears for our firefighters. I think right now it's 30 sets of gear we bought with this that we know of. and we are doing some other work to test other batches. But our work is just beginning. This is going to be more testing. We have already sent out 5 other sets to another independent testing company. We're going to find just how far back and how widespread this issue has become. We dedicated all the necessary resources to resolve this matter, up to including legal action, which we will take a serious look at against the companies that are responsible for the manufacturing and distribution of the turnout gear. We were sold a bill of goods, and it will not be tolerated. We do not know yet how many other departments are in the similar position we are, but we're going to find out. I do want to give a special thanks to Local 792 and its president, Tom Bowes, for taking the lead on setting a set of gear out. They had a hunch, and they did that. And I indicated to Tom immediately, we're going to come together and fix this and make this right. Whatever resources the city needs to take to protect you in your work each and every day. However, we're not going to let the manufacturer off the hook by any means. This is the very beginning of what's going to be, my guess is, a fairly lengthy process of getting it right. I'd ask this time Tom Bowes, the Local 792 president, firefighter for 25 years here in Quincy, come up and say a few words. Tom?
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. My name's Tom Bowes. I'm the president of the Quincy Firefighters Association, Local 792. Starting my 26th year as a firefighter next month. I've served as a chair union officer of Local 792 for almost 25 years now. As union leaders, the most important part of our job is to protect our members and their families. Over the years, I've watched the job evolve and have seen a lot of changes. One thing we have learned is the dangers of occupational cancer in the fire service, the worst part of the best job in the world. Over the past 18 years, Mayor Koch and the city of Quincy have invested millions of dollars in the fight against occupational cancer. There have been so many conversations between the mayor and city councils with the union here in Quincy on how can we further protect your members. Back during our last major purchase of gear in 2019, we started hearing some rumors and seeing some things online about PFAS, known as forever chemicals, being put in our bunker gear in very alarming amounts. The committee that was formed to look into the gear started the process in 2018 and starting asking gear companies questions about the chemicals. The companies all started to provide us with letters saying they don't use PFAS and we have nothing to worry about. They referred us to studies that were done by their industry people. We started hearing what has become the company line in their playbook for the last 7 to 8 years. If there is any PFAS in the gear, it's in trace amounts, and it is most likely caused from the byproducts of the production process. At the time, one company gave us a press release they had sent out in 2017 stating we had nothing to worry about because they use C6 now and not C8, and then went on to talk about how safe and PFAS-free C6 is. Now we have come to find out that C6 could actually be the reason for the toxins in our gear. Fast forward a few years to 2021 and the company invented a product online that's advertised as PFAS-free. So for the past few years, the city of Quincy has been purchasing these outer shells for our bunker gear under the assumption they were PFAS-free and we have nothing to worry about. The biggest worry in that time has been finding a PFAS-free moisture barrier for the gear. We have been fortunate to work with Fall River firefighter Jason Burns, who has a lot of knowledge in this subject. In recent years, Jason has been helping us try and find clean gear that includes a clean moisture barrier. A few months back, in late April, Jason said, "I know a professor, Graham Peasley, out of Notre Dame. I want you to have a conversation with him and send some gear out for testing." I subsequently had a great conversation with Graham, and he said, "Send the gear out and they will test it for us to try and see where we were with the moisture barrier." When the gear arrived, Graham reached out and said, "Do you want us to test the outer shells too? It looks like it may contain PFAS." Obviously, we were shocked and outraged. We have bought those outer shells since 2023, specifically because they were advertised as PFAS-free for the past 4 years. He did the testing and called me with the bad news. The report was not good, and it clearly states that PFAS were intentionally added to the outer shells of the gear. Our gear that is supposed to be PFAS-free had 16,000 and 19,000 parts per million of PFAS respectively on the jacket and pants. Not to mention the gear is also loaded with bromine, which is a whole nother worry. This gear not only exposed the members wearing it every day, it's exposed to the members working at the stations and riding on the rigs, and potentially exposing family members if a member has the gear in their car to and be detailed out to another company. Obviously, this was all very concerning. Immediately, I was on the phone with the PFFM and the IFF, and I can't thank both of them enough for all they've done for us these past few weeks and months. Firefighters in this state, in New England, and across the country are in great hands with guys like Rich McKinnon, Jay Colbert, and Ed Kelly leading the way. These guys have made health and safety of firefighters a top priority, and there are no better union leaders in the country than men up here behind me. These last few months dealing with this issue has been frustrating, angry, and truthfully sad seeing what these companies continue to pull. I've lost sleep the last few weeks thinking about some of our newest members have been exposed just by putting their gear on to respond to a call, and I worry what happened hasn't happened just here in Quincy. We all knew the inherent risks of coming on this job. Wearing toxic chemical-filled gear wasn't one of them. Mayor Koch, the Quincy City Council, and the taxpayers of Quincy have all had our backs investing in our protection against occupational cancer, but yet the gear they are buying that is advertised as PFAS-free is actually loaded with these chemicals and many other harmful chemicals. It's not right, and it has to end now. We can't thank Mayor Koch, President Kelly, VP Colbert, President McKinnon, Jason Burns, Graham Peasley, Hunter McMillan, the staff at Forever Analytical, and all the attorneys involved in this effort for what they are doing for us in this fight. There is no doubt we have the best mayor and city council anywhere in the state or country. We would also like to thank the Quincy Fire Cancer Foundation, who is going to pay for all the follow-up gear and future testing of the gear. If you're a local president out there and hear about this, go out and get a set of gear tested. Don't just take the company's word for it anymore. Just because some laws may have changed in regards to the gear, it doesn't mean these companies are going to be truthful with you anymore. The testing is inexpensive and is going to give you and your members peace of mind moving forward. Here in Quincy, we plan to buy gear in smaller batches and send a randomly selected set out for testing to make sure we are protected. We have proven that we were lied to and sold 30 sets of toxic gear, and as we speak, there is ongoing testing on sets of gear from every batch of gear we have bought since 2023 under the same assumption of it being sold as PFAS-free. No matter what the final number of toxic sets we were lied to about ends up being, any department being lied to about one set is one set too many. In closing, I would like to ask all of you to keep our members and firefighters across this state and country who are fighting occupational cancer, who have fought the valiant fight and lost, in your thoughts and prayers. Two of our active members, both great guys with wives and kids, are in the fight to their lives against occupational cancer, as are some of our recent retirees and our extended fire family members, including wives here in Quincy. We think about each of them every day and the fights they're going through, and after seeing what the hell just happened, we wonder if some of this sickness could have been avoided. These companies are paid to protect us, the protectors, and they have failed miserably. We do this job because we love helping people. All we ask is to be protected. We look forward to working with Mayor Koch and the city of Quincy to fight against these companies. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. At this time, I'm going to ask Ed Kelly. Not only is he general president of the International, he's a neighbor. He's a Boston Jake, still rides the trucks, has been a tremendous leader, just as Tom just articulated, really to help mitigate those challenges firefighters face. So, Edzo, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Tommy, great job. I'd like to recognize District Vice President Jay Colbert that's here with me to my left. Tommy mentioned Jay Burns, a Fall River firefighter who was also the executive director of the Last Call Foundation. Cancer is the leading cause of death in firefighters. And we know that PFAS is a carcinogen. It causes various types of cancers, including ovarian, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, testicular cancer, breast cancer, to name a few. And that's not our opinion. The International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, which is a division of the World Health Organization, has recognized it as such. The question that is obvious to us is that why would we have carcinogens intentionally infused into our personal protective equipment? It's a valid question. 4 years ago, with the help of the Last Call Foundation, who, with Diane Carter, who's the wife of a Worcester firefighter that fought cancer, brought to light the fact that our gear is loaded with PFAS, a known carcinogen. For the last 4 years, the IFF, the union the parent group of the Quincy Firefighters, has fought the battle to eradicate PFAS introduction into our personal protective equipment, our bunker gear that you see to my left, your right. The reason that our gear has this PFAS carcinogen introduced into it was because of a standard which governs how that gear has to be made by the National Fire Protection Association. We fought hard for over 4 years to get that standard changed. We successfully did that 10 months ago. Now, we still have legacy gear that's in the firehouses. The standard that has changed allows a grandfathering window where for over about another 18 months, PFAS-infused gear can still be purchased. In the course of changing that standard, we've also successfully created a banned substance list of chemicals, dangerous chemicals, that cannot be introduced into bunker gear in the future. But it's always going to be a challenge ensuring that different types of hazardous chemicals who are not on that banned substance list will be introduced in the future. It's a constant challenge for us to police that. Now, we as firefighters all across the country, all across the world, have to deal with this issue. But in places like Quincy, Massachusetts, we have a city with leadership like Mayor Koch, who makes our health and safety a priority. And by championing that health and safety, brought to the City Council a proposal to fund new gear, PFAS-free, carcinogen-free gear for the Quincy firefighters. Kudos and thank you for what you've done, not just in this, but in every issue with the fire service. But they were lied to. Point blank, they were lied to. And to their great credit, the Quincy Firefighters Union, under the leadership of President Tom Bowes, had that gear tested using a credible scientific method out of Notre Dame University, and conclusively showed that there is clearly PFAS in that gear. Not only do we have to do better, we have to hold these corporations accountable that are essentially lying to us. It's not fair. Many of us have been on the job for decades, like President Bowes said. Our exposure to this gear that's been loaded with PFAS for many of us is decades-old exposure. And I know firefighter John Christiani, who's in the front row here, has been battling cancer for many years here in Quincy. And many other Quincy firefighters and firefighters throughout North America have succumbed to the job-related cancer. The battle that we have is not going to end. We will not rest. We owe it to each other. We owe it to each other. We die for strangers. We're sure as heck going to fight for each other. And as we fight to eradicate cancer from the fire service and get this PFAS out of the gear, we're fulfilling our role to the people that we took to protect them. Because when we wear this gear, we wear it into your house. We unfortunately are exposing you sometimes on medical calls, sometimes in car accidents. We need to protect not only ourselves, but the public as a whole in this battle. And that's why I want to thank Mayor Koch for your leadership. In my opinion, I think you're going to go down in history as one of the greatest mayors in this country, especially the city of Quincy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. So let me sum up by saying that we here in the city of Quincy, our legal team, the administration, work with the city council, we're going to do everything we can to hold these companies accountable for one. And further, I see a lot of our members out here. I will not stop whatever appropriation we need to do that, and also to provide the best gear we possibly can for you. As long as we know that gear does not have chemicals in it that put you at risk. So this is just the beginning of a fight I'm grateful for the work that 792 and the International has done on this, assisting us in every step of the way. And I look forward to a good result for the firefighters of Quincy and across North America. With that, I'd be happy to open up the questions for either me or some of the union leaders.
Has a lawsuit been filed against safety components?
The question was, has a lawsuit been filed against safety components? Not yet. We're doing further due diligence, as was mentioned. We've sent other sets of gear out. We want to have all the best information we have going forward before that decision is made. But I can tell you the legal team is looking at that aspect of it.
Can you talk about how many sets of gear, how much did this cost, and what are the companies are you looking at as alternative now?
Question was how many sets of gears, how much was the cost, and as was mentioned, 30 sets of gears that we know of. So that's why we're doing further testing with some of those other batches that we have purchased over the years. So I don't know, Chris Walker, if you have an estimate on the numbers. The gear is not cheap, but that will not hold us back from buying the best for our firefighters. We want to make this right.
Which company manufactured this product and which assembled the final product and which one manufactured by its components?
Question was which company provided the gear that has this PFAS in it. And I'd let Tom come back up and answer that. There's different layers. You have distributors, manufacturers, and within the manufacturers, there's other companies that contribute to the making of the gear. So it's not a simple answer to that, but there are other companies. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Tommy. Ready to go.
Yeah, just to add to what the mayor had to say, we're testing approximately 80 sets of gear. 30 of we think are tested positive. We're pretty sure, according to this report we have. Probably close to $1 million is what the city spent since 2023 on the sets and the sets of gear. In terms of the companies, right now we're just looking into safety components, whose parent company is Elevate Textiles. That's it. Thank you.
Did they include the 30 that have already tested?
That's correct. Yep.
Do you have a message for other departments who may hear the story, what their best method of going about testing their own gear?
I'll let Ed Kelly handle that one.
Thank you very much. As I said, the city of Quincy is leading the way, but this is not a Quincy-centric issue. This is something that impacts firefighters throughout the country. We're still researching how many fire departments have bought this particular type of gear off of this company. We know that other companies have made similar commitments that their gear was PFAS-free, all of which has to be tested. To answer your question, we recommend that you use an independent laboratory to test this gear after it's been delivered. We don't want them to send a set of gear to the department to be tested and then do another run, and that's what the gear we get. We want to take, our recommendation is if you're going to buy 40 sets of gear, buy 41 and pick one in the middle and send it out to be independently tested by a credible laboratory that can specifically define what and if there are hazardous chemicals in that gear.
Guys, I'm guessing the 80 that are being tested are taken out of circulation currently, and I'm wondering what the firefighters are wearing right now. Are they wearing gear that you feel confident you not be best in it, or do you think that basically is this an industry-wide issue that basically it's all got to be best? Is there anything you bought something that you thought was free, and well, it turns out even that wasn't? What are they wearing now?
Our guess is the question was, what are we doing with the testing, the gear that's being tested? What are the members doing out on the streets without their gear while it's being tested? Currently, all members, thanks to Mayor Koch and the city council, have 2 sets of gear. Even though they're probably contaminated, they have 2 sets of gear. So we're able to send a set out, and they can use their backup gear in the meantime. We have the extractors at the stations, like the mayor mentioned. They can come back, wash that gear, and then get back in service as quickly as possible.
The gear that they're wearing is also decontaminated.
The reality is, all of the bunker gear that firefighters are wearing throughout North America is loaded with PFAS. This run that the mayor has funded and bought that was allegedly PFAS-free is the next hopeful generation of removing these harmful chemicals. So the reality is, every set of gear you see, basically, throughout North America is loaded with PFAS.
Can you tell us more about this chemical in this new gear? is it a new kind of chemical that was not in the banned list? And
The-
how can you identify?
So there's various types of chemicals. PFAS is one that we know was infused into the production of this gear for decades. Allegedly, that particular chemical was removed with this set of gear that was purchased here in Quincy. The testing revealed that, in fact, it was treated with this chemical. We have other dangerous chemicals, groups of chemicals, like flame retardants, that are even more harmful to our health than PFAS, that we've found in sets of gear that have been tested. So we not only have to worry about the PFAS, which is what we've identified in this set of gear, we have to worry about those other harmful chemicals, such as flame retardants, that have been introduced into this bunker gear.
What went through your mind when you heard about this mess?
Well, that dates back a little bit when the reality of the fact that we've been wrapping ourselves in carcinogens for decades. For me, it helped explain a lot why so many of my friends and brothers and sisters were dying of cancer. Because the most consistent exposure we would have is simply donning and doffing the gear run after run after run as a firefighter. And as that gear wears and breaks down, those chemicals become airborne, and we ingest them, we inhale them, they float throughout the firehouse. Our apparatus is covered in them. So we get absorption exposure when we're sweating and we're working in the gear. We have inhalation exposure, and we ingest it as well. So it's what went through my mind. I was more hurt than mad. It begged the question, how could we possibly be putting these dangerous chemicals into our gear on purpose, knowing that we're going to wear it day in and day out for our whole lives, basically, our whole working lives? So yeah, I mean, I want people held accountable, and I want change, more importantly. I don't want to expose the next generation of firefighters that are coming on needlessly.
I would presume that the city and the department have reached out to the manufacturer. Have they responded? Well, what has their response been to you if they have responded? You brought up these concerns.
We want to get our homework done completely. I know there's been some informal discussions with members of the department and the company. We have not had formal discussions between the city administration and the company. So as we get the results of this next group of gear being tested, that will further our information and our due diligence then to go before. And whether we do informal meetings, whether we're going to file a lawsuit, whatever it may be, we're going to be an agent of change in this business, just as Edso just articulated so well. You know, we're asking our firefighters to go to a scene, they're inhaling smoke and all kinds of materials and hazardous materials and chemicals. To have those chemicals in their gear is outrageous. And the big question is whether this PFAS was intentionally put in the gear or accidentally get in the gear through manufacturing. I don't know enough about that world. But if it was intentionally put knowingly by these companies, then there was going to be one hell of a lawsuit. Anybody else? Scott?
Did the city pay extra because this gear was supposedly PFAS?
Did the city pay extra because the gear was supposedly PFAS-free? I don't believe so. I think it was sold as PFAS-free, but I don't think there was much of a difference in the cost of the gear.
One more for Ed. You know, you talk about, you know, departments going testing it on, almost kind of saying it's on departments to kind of make sure it's PFAS free. I mean, this is Quincy example kind of raised questions whether the new world, I mean, with all these companies, a lot of companies are offering PFAS free gear. I mean, can we trust it? Can we trust any of this? I mean, what do you think is happening here?
The question is, can we trust the manufacturers? The answer is no. Simple. No, we cannot trust them. We have to do independent testing on our own and ensure that what we're being told is true. What we're being told that it's chemical free, dangerous chemicals are not infused in that gear, we cannot trust the corporations to tell us the truth. They have failed us too many times.
Questions. He said, now though he can't trust them, but local 792, he said had a hunch about, and that's how the testing actually happened. What was it about this specific?
I don't want to, so the question is, what drove Local 792's hunch? I think that we as the parent organization, the IFF, have been advocating for 4 straight years with all of our locals that you can't trust the corporations. You have to do your own independent scientific testing to ensure you're being told the truth. So we have been very vocal, encouraging our locals when they buy this new gear to make sure that they're getting what they paid for and aren't being lied to.
With that, we'll conclude this press conference. To the men and women who serve here and all over the place, we have your back. We're not going to stop until we get this right. Thanks for your service. God bless.
Vous pouvez tous, il dit ça va, c'est un peu,